So we've had a bit of rain over the last little bit, which is good, but we've had a few problem areas come up. So I'm going to show you guys how I assess them and how I decide where to go from there. Going to try and get another mow on the green and the surrounds before the rain kicks in. I actually haven't mowed this for a week, so let's see how much the PGR, plant growth regulator, has actually done as well. But let's rip into it, let's get it done. I'm going to talk about a new ebook that I've just released as well, which is why there wasn't a video out last week. Let's just get it done. Yo mate, what up? Welcome to another lawn tip vid. So I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but the ryegrass is overgrown since I haven't mowed this before I put the PGR down. So it's been like 2.5 weeks since I've mowed the ryegrass, which has showed me a few problem areas, some areas I need to work on as well. So let me just show you. So number one is these mushrooms just here. I get questions about mushrooms constantly. People always asking, what do I do when I've got mushrooms in my lawn like that? So we'll talk about it quickly, but believe it or not, it's not really a problem. So believe it or not, mushrooms are actually a sign that you've got some healthy soil, and they're not a problem. People usually associate them with fungus and fungus disease as well. To an extent that's sort of true, but it's not going to really be a problem, and it's not showing you that you're going to get some sort of nasty disease across your whole lawn just because you've got these coming up. Generally they'll grow off areas that are full of, sometimes there's tree roots there, sometimes there's some wood chip underneath, sometimes there's just some rich organics in your soil. So not something to stress about, not something I'd worry about even killing. Personally, I just mow over them, and the more regularly you mow, you're not going to really see them pop up either. But just don't eat them, because who knows if these are edible. Don't stress about mushrooms in your lawn at all. Best thing to do is just mow the area more regularly and you're going to knock them down. Now, another problem that I've noticed, which I'm sure you guys can see on camera because now the grass is longer, it's very, very visible. But you can see there's like a little patchiness across the area. You see this? Nice and dark green, not looking so great there. Really, really present in this area just here. So it does look a little bit like disease. Believe it or not, we're not looking at disease there. I actually had this problem at my old house and I thought it was disease for a very, very long time, and ended up figuring out that the lawn was just hungry. And just because it was juvenile grass and I oversowed it, it's been about 6 months ago now that I've had this down. Just sections of it are just hungry because there's not a ton of nutrients in the soil here. There's a bit of sand mixed in with everything. There is nutrients, but it's not getting an even amount of nutrients throughout the whole area. So I need to get some granular fertilizer down on this area here. So I'm going to try to squeeze some out while there's tons of rain about. Probably do it after the first bout of rain because we're getting 40 mil, but then it's supposed to rain for the rest of the week. So this is a sign that this section of the lawn is quite hungry. As we can see here, it's not sick, the grass just looks a little bit juvenile. That's the thing. So you can see it's got a thicker blade on it, a little bit of a thinner blade there. So we just need some nutrients in there to get that thing looking nice and healthy again. Since I have let this area grow out a bit as well, I've actually finally starting to see some other grassy weeds in here. So generally when you're mowing pretty regularly, you don't notice grassy weeds quite as much. Now that this overgrow a bit, I've noticed there's a bit of poa around the place. So wintergrass, there's quite a bit of wintergrass in here. I'd say they're probably 100 plants at the most. So there's not too much there. We've also got a bit of paspalum coming up. So these are signs of paspalum just here. There's no seed head on that, but that's some paspalum there. So personally myself, I'm not going to use a knockdown herbicide or a post-emergent herbicide on this area here because there isn't a lot of it. Like I'd say it's maybe 3% throughout the whole entire lawn. So there's a few ways I will battle this. Number one would just be let it be. And once autumn time comes, make sure I get a pre-emergent down and then do a follow-up pre-emergent application at the start of spring as well. So I normally use Barricade or Spartan, something like that. I didn't do it this season because the grass was still so young. Probably could have done it, but I decided not to. I could also just manually weed all out with a screwdriver. Probably honestly what I'm going to do in this little bottom section here, because there's probably one section where there's quite a lot of it. I reckon I'd probably spend 2 hours and I'd get most of it out. So yeah, you can see there's a bit through here, like a plant there, a couple of plants here. This is probably the worst spot just here. Telltale sign this is some paspalum because of that purple bit of that leaf there. I just know what it's like too because I've dealt with it for years and years and years. I don't know if there's any seed head showing up yet, which I'm surprised there's not actually. Man, this area looks so sick. Definitely needs some fertilizer. And that's some more mushroom. Really goes to show how bad this looks after not mowing it for 2 weeks. Like it looks neglected as, it looks nasty. But that's all right, it's good because we can assess some things and some problems and make sure we get on top of that. So what I do, I just get a screwdriver and just make sure you get the taproot out of the bottom of there, because they do have a bit of a taproot. So once you got that out, it's not going to come back. Now, if I had tons and tons and tons of this in here, again, honestly, I wouldn't have worried about getting rid of it. I'd leave it in there until the autumn time, put my pre-emergent down here in orange and cooler climates. It does die out through the winter. And then just make sure you reapply a pre-emergent 6 months after that autumn application, as I said, because it's going to stop it coming up in the spring. So I'll quickly show you guys, this is overgrown like crazy. Goes to show, I should have mowed it before I put the PGR out 2 days before and then put the PGR down because it's low. Have a look at this, bro. We are cutting some grass off there today. That is a lot of grass. That's the longest I've ever left that. That is ridiculous. You can see down the bottom here how much it's flicking onto the green. Now, the green hasn't grown much, which is good. So we'll see how much we get off the green today and see how much the PGR is kicking in. But this is all flicked onto the green here. Woo! Flip! So as you can imagine, this is going to be hard to cut with a cylinder mower because when it's this long, the front roller will tend to push the grass over and we're not going to get a clean cut. So this is a good time to tell you guys what I would do in this situation. So currently you can see we're mowing in this direction just here. So what I would actually do is my first cut, I would mow the opposite direction to what I normally do. So it pushes the blades the opposite way, mow that whole direction and then come back into the grain of where I've cut and mow the other direction, so that's really going to give a nice tidy clean cut. So it might be a double cut one direction then back the other way, then another cut on top of that just to really clean it up. So a triple cut if your grass is this long. So let's get into it before the rain hits. We need to basically triple cut this whole area to get it looking nice and schmick, and I'll show you how it looks afterwards. The amount of grass I got off there was absolutely ridiculous. Looks so much better now, but I had to like go over it 6 times. It wasn't a double cut or a triple cut. It was ridiculous. Like the amount of grass that we got off there was just nuts. And the amount that went on the green was just ridiculous as well. Now, if you didn't have a ride-on cylinder mower, I'd highly recommend using a rotary mower first. Catch the grass, get rid of the grass that's there, go a little bit higher than you normally would with your cylinder mower, and then come back with your cylinder mower and do a clean up pass so it looks nice and tidy, because we were just spitting grass out for ages and ages and ages and it was starting to make a bit of a mess. So that's why I had to go over it 6 times. If I was walking behind a mower, I wouldn't have done that. As I said, I would have got a rotary mower and picked up all the clippings. Man, that was long. It looks good though. Really, it turned around very well. See, I see you can't see the grassy weeds now that we've mown it, because it sort of hides them a little bit. Now there was a ton of grassy weeds just here, and if we get down close, like even that funny looking the hungry looking area, you can't see it as much when the grass is short. So it really goes to show the difference. Now, see, I can't even find those grassy weeds now. There's one little stem there. Here we go. There's a couple here. So there's a couple of grassy weeds just here, but you can honestly, they hide so well, especially when you keep the nutrients up to it. The thing is too, with a lot of these grassy weeds, the more regularly you mow, and the lower you mow as well, like with a cylinder mower, if you're mowing a couple of times a week, you'll start to actually eradicate those weeds because they don't like regular mowing. Because those are like, that's almost like paddock grass, that stuff that was there I just pulled out. Even paspalum, if you're regularly mowing all the time, mowing a little bit lower, it's not going to show its head as much and it's not going to spread as much either. Not going to have as much chance because your lawn's going to be healthy, lush, nice and thick, and it's going to choke a lot of those weeds out. So just before we mow the green, I want to talk to you guys about my ebook that I've just bought out. That's why there wasn't a video last week, is because I was trying to get it finished off and I just got in the zone. But this is an ebook I've been wanting to do for a couple of years with loads and loads of information. It's about 60 pages long, this book, and I'm going to be adding information probably every couple of months. When people request things that I need to put in there, I'm going to put them in there as well. And you'll get that as a free update when you look at this book. So it's basically my ultimate lawn care guide. So it's going to teach you a lot of things, man, like identifying your grass type, identifying problems in your lawn, and deciding if you go renovation or completely start overgrown, how to go from like a rotary mower to a cylinder mower, talking all about lawn products and how they work. And I'm going to be continually updating it, adding more information, as I said. So the goal is to get it like 200-300 pages long with tons and tons of information, and it's going to stay at the same cost, and it'll get updated and you guys won't have to pay an extra cost for that. So I've got a sale running at the moment on it, just an introductory offer. So $10 off on the ebook. If you use the code NEWBOOK on my shop for this week, you'll be able to get it at a discounted price. But yeah, I'm so glad I finally got this book out, and I think you guys have really enjoyed it. From beginner lawn care guys to advanced, like there's going to be tons and tons of info in there, and more coming as well. Already working on another chapter at the moment, so continually getting things done in there, which is awesome. But appreciate if you guys check that out. I've also got lawn plans on the website which tell you what to apply all year round. We do talk about that a bit in the book as well. We don't go as in depth as we do in the lawn plans with specific grass types. But mate, I'm excited. I'm excited to have this finally done. A dream I've had for a while to get it done, and we made a start. Well, the book's out. We haven't made a start. It's done. So we'll see how much grass we get off here today. Generally when I haven't mown for a week, I tend to get about 4 or 5 catches off the green, and it's been the perfect weather for the grass to grow. It's been a little bit cooler, which is good for cool season grass. Bit of humidity about, so it should have grown like crazy with a week of no cutting. But we put our PGR down last week, and that's when I last did my last mows, when you saw me filming that video. Last week or the week before. Yeah, I think it's been more than a week since I last mowed. No, I mowed off camera in the middle of last week, so yeah. We're all good. So I'll give this a mow. I'll show you guys how much has come off. We only put down 2 mil per 100 square meters of plant growth regulator on here, remember? So see how well it's worked. So all up we got about 1.5 catches, I reckon, if it wasn't a messy cut because of the stuff that fell in on the outside, and it was a little bit wet as well. Would have been about a catcher, which is like a quarter of the amount of clippings I get from last time when I missed it for a week. Don't do that ever. Don't ever leave your grass that long when you've got a green. You would be mowing it at least once every 2 days, but once a week is not ideal because, as you can see, it just gets a little bit long. Even a catcher and a half a week later is still, you don't really want that much grass. You sort of just want to be half a catcher probably at the most, probably even a bit less than that, to be honest. A quarter is ideal. Otherwise your surface just isn't going to be true. You're going to get problems with what they call mat. So there's mat and thatch. So when your grass gets long and you mow it and you're cutting it down all the time, it tends to actually get this like a matty layer where the grass lays over and doesn't grow properly. And then you start to have problems with nutrients not getting down there properly and other problems as well. But it's definitely slowed it down. Now, I'm glad I got that done because there's rain for the rest of the week. But I need to get back to that mowing every 2 days. So I was just thinking while I was mowing then, we have got a lot of rain coming up. So I get a lot of questions all the time about when should I apply fungicides for a preventative. Now, if you've got a spell like this where you're about to get rain for maybe a week or two, and there's humidity about, there's a good chance you're going to get some fungus popping up in your lawn. So that's the time, if you know that's going to be happening, which I know now, so I probably should get something out after this video. And I'm probably just going to put out some Banamax, to be honest, which has got propiconazole in it, or I could go with some Heritage, which has got some azoxystrobin in it, or we could mix them, either way. Just to prevent diseases coming in this area just here. But yeah, that's sort of the way to do it. You can go on a program as well when you apply at the change of every season, or you apply about every 2 months. Generally, it's more when you know there's going to be an onset of disease pressure and you get on your program. It's going to be different for every single climate, every single grass type. Here in Orange, we don't tend to get too much onset of disease, which is nice because there's not a lot of humidity about. But if you're in Queensland or even in Sydney, somewhere that's a little bit warmer, disease will be very, very obvious at the moment, and there's probably some popping up too if you guys are getting some rain like we are here. So the green is actually in need of a feed as well. We did give it that liquid fertilizer last week, but I'm actually due for some granular fertilizer now. So Need to get that out on the ryegrass as well. Not going to do it now because it's not raining yet and the turf is still a little bit moist. If I put some granular fertilizer down now while the ground is wet but there's no rain, very, very high chance of some burn on the grass. Thinking about putting a chapter in my book as well about knowing when your lawn is hungry, knowing when it needs a feed, and just telltale signs of that. Let me know if you guys think that should be in there, or so many other ideas you think should be in my ebook. But yeah, something that's you can visually see when your lawn starts to get hungry, and there's signs of it as well. And after working in the industry for a while and looking at turf, you can just see when it's hungry or it's thirsty or it needs a bit of everything. But including that in a book might be handy for guys that don't quite know the telltale signs, because I could talk about it for ages, to be honest. There's lots to talk about with that. So it's super important to understand, to know how to assess problems in your lawn. So we've assessed today some problems in the ryegrass, a couple of plans of attack, hand weeding, preventative actions in the spring and the autumn time as well for those grassy weeds. Make sure you mow more regularly so it doesn't get nice and long like that. And if it's looking a little bit patchy or a little bit just uneven, sometimes it's hungry and needs a feed as well. So there's lots of other things you can assess, like maybe you got an influx of weeds, maybe you need to get a soil test because your pH is a little bit funky or it's missing quite a few nutrients. You got a bad water source. I mean, there's so many things that you need to really understand on how to assess your lawn problems. Now, luckily for me, it's just the lawn's hungry and there's a few weeds here and there, but yeah, there's so much you can try and figure out. Well, thanks guys so much again for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. Make sure you check out the ebook on my website, lawntips.net. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.